The following movie is rated R.
What's going on, y'all, and welcome back to the channel. I hope everybody is feeling fantastic on this Thursday. So let's go ahead and get down. Now, I want to talk about this Charlie Kirk situation. It's been an extremely crazy 24 hours. You had Charlie Kirk, who was deleted on a Utah Valley State campus. He was on a tour going around to different colleges, speaking to the students and challenging them to debates about his talking points and his views and so forth and so on. And then you had a school pew-pewing in Colorado that left 2 children injured, but the actual pew-pewer is deceased at this particular point in time. So it's just been crazy. And today is 9/11. But I want to talk about this Charlie Kirk situation because it has just sparked a lot of debate and a lot of conversation all over social media. And it seems as though people are divided when it comes to how they feel about Charlie Kirk. And Charlie Kirk has said some very vile things, and you have people that are saying that even though he said those things and even though he was very divisive, he didn't deserve to pass away in that fashion or pass away at all. And then you have others that feel like, hey, he was just a liability to America, to be honest, with his talking points and his views and the way he put down minorities and degraded them and dehumanized us and things like that to the 10th power. And so I want to say this: I don't think it's right to celebrate somebody's passing, but I don't think that it's also right for people to try to bully individuals to have empathy for someone that didn't have empathy for them. And if I'm being honest, all that political correctness and being classy and stuff like that is just out the window. Nowadays, people are just tired. They're tired of being sick and tired, and their moral compass has been compromised due to the fact that a lot of people are waking up and seeing America for what it is. And I'm seeing a dynamic shift within the YT community. There's a lot of YT individuals that are calling out their own people, and they're basically labeling them as like, yo, I am so sick of this. This is just YT fatigue. You know, the black fatigue thing that people are saying about our culture. There's a lot of white people are calling out their own, saying, wow, I have YT fatigue. It's the same narratives being pushed. It's the same hate being driven down everybody that doesn't look like you throats. And it's just getting tiresome. And so honestly speaking, I would suggest that people stop trying to police grown people on the internet and mind your business. Some people just are not going to have those type of feelings that you exude towards Charlie Kirk, right? We're not saying that we wanted that man to pass away, but there's a lot of people that feel like, oh, okay, but I remember. Oh, okay, but he said this, all right? And it's all valid, right? Now, because I have a soft spot in my heart for children, I do feel sorry for his kids. You know, I know that they're going to be devastated. I really do. And I do wonder how those kids are going to be psychologically impacted moving forward, right? But as far as Charlie Kirk's wife, she was a grown woman. She supported that man. Listen, it is what it is. And listen, I don't think that people should be jumping with joy and glee and gloating about the fact that this man passed away. But again, I do feel that people reserve and deserve the right to speak truthfully about how they feel. And we have to remember, one of Charlie's talking points was the fact that he felt that the civil rights movement was a total mistake. A total mishap, should have never happened, right? So what does that say about how he feel about people that have the same hue as me? Anyway, let's move on to these clips and I'll be back.
Charlie Kirk was shot today. Let's take a look at the legacy that he will leave behind. So how about we start with his campaign to dismantle the legacy of the civil rights movement. In a December 2023 speech, Charlie Kirk didn't just critique Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he launched a full-scale character assassination, labeling him as awful and not a good person, claiming he's only admired for saying things he didn't actually believe. Now, he went even further. Kirk called the landmark Civil Rights Act of 1964 a huge mistake and argued that it created a permanent DEI type of bureaucracy. Now, he pushed the radical theory as well that the act, in his words, superseded the U.S. Constitution. And then when he was challenged, he doubled down, calling MLK a mythological anti-racist creation, and then bragged about targeting the sacred cow of modern America. On a publicly celebrated the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And here's what he said when he was asked if he would force his own 10-year-old daughter to carry a pregnancy to term after she was assaulted.
And she was 10 and she was going to give birth and she would and she was going to give birth and she was going to live. Would you want her to go through that and carry her baby.
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens
calm
to
down.
many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Now, on gun violence, consistently downplayed America's gun violence epidemic.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights.
On race in Black America, Charlie Kirk supported a ban on DEI, overturning the Civil Rights Act and promoting a whitewash version of history. He supported banning AP African American Studies and even said that when it comes to slavery, there's a lot more to the story. And when it comes to Black professionals, on pilots, he stated, if I see a Black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. He also blamed Black people for the air traffic controller crisis. He frequently disparages Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson as a diversity hire and insisted that she was only appointed because she's a Black woman. He denies that systemic racism even exists and supports punitive sentencing and then referred to George Floyd as a scumbag. He even led the efforts to pardon Derek Chauvin, the police officer that was convicted. Now, on women and misogyny, he's no better. His misogyny covers us all. He went on a bizarre rant directed at Taylor Swift, instructing her to submit to her husband, and he also claimed that men don't want to date women in their 30s because we're not at our prime. On LGBTQ plus rights, Charlie Kirk has labeled the LGBTQ plus community a cult. He even cited a Bible verse that calls for gay people to be put as God's perfect law. He advocates for a nationwide ban on gender-affirming care and calls the transgender identity a lie that hurts people his kids. On democracy and January 6th, his group, Turning Point USA, was deeply involved in efforts to try and overturn the 2020 election. He bragged about sending 80 buses to Washington, D.C. on January 6th for people to fight for Donald Trump. And then when he was subpoenaed by the House committee investigating the insurrection, he pled the fifth. On Palestine, he denies the very existence of the Palestinian people and their homeland and says outright that Palestinians in Palestine just doesn't exist.
I don't think the place exists.
What?
Because it doesn't. It's called Judea and Samaria. It's not called Palestine.
You don't believe that Palestine have the right to exist?
No, everyone has a right to exist. Show me where it is. It's a non-existent place.
He has routinely championed what Israel's doing and a he's championed it, and he's a friend to Israel. Also rallied against COVID-19 and public health measures to stop the spread of the virus, spread dangerous vaccine information. His organization also said something blatantly false about Jamie Foxx and said that he was paralyzed and blind from a COVID vaccination. On student loan forgiveness, he opposed student loan forgiveness despite his own group, Turning Point USA, taking $350,000 in COVID relief PPP loans that were later forgiven. Charlie was the founder of Turning Point USA. Their tactics include a professor watch list that is designed to intimidate and harass academics, a school board watch list targeting officials who support public health measures or the teaching of accurate history. He also meddles in student government elections to defund progressive groups. On Trump and Christian nationalism, he played a huge role in getting Trump elected. He organized voter drives and events, and he's often credited for delivering the youth vote for Trump. He invokes the Seven Mountains Mandate, a call for conservative Christians to seize control of all aspects of society. He says Donald Trump is a crucial figure in restoring this so-called Christian morality and has even called for a full military occupation of American cities after the DC occupation to restore order. So knowing all of that, how do you think Charlie Kirk will be remembered?
I'm not going to celebrate what happened to Charlie Kirk, but I'm not going to mourn him either. Charlie Kirk was a terrible person. He was a racist and a misogynist and a fascist. Charlie Kirk laughed in the face of school shootings. And before those children were even buried, every single time he would trot himself out and say, this is just the price that you pay for freedom. But here's the thing. Charlie Kirk never conceived of himself being the one that would have to pay the price for that freedom. He always thought the consequence would fall on you. Yeah, you and me. People that didn't move in his circles, people he didn't know. He never thought those consequences would find him. And when it was just you and your kids, he didn't care. And he laughed about it. He thought it was funny. And the last thing that Charlie Kirk ever said in this world was a message of hatred, talking about how people are more likely to perform mass shootings and therefore should lose constitutional rights. Charlie Kirk died with hate in his mouth. Charlie Kirk laughed at the misfortune of others. Charlie Kirk was a terrible human being. Did he deserve what happened to him? No, I don't think so. But did he create the atmosphere that allowed it to happen? Sure, partially. Because every word out of Charlie Kirk's mouth was hatred and dehumanization and debasement. And it was all in service of making money. And the sad thing about Charlie Kirk, maybe the saddest thing that I can think of, I'm not even sure he believed the things that he said, because he always smelled more like a grifter than a true believer to me. There was always something about him that said to me, this is just some schmuck trying to make a quick dollar. Sad.
So is it the guns yet? Are we ready to be done with this yet? Is Republican Senator Mike Lee gonna make jokes about this, like he did when Melissa Hortman and her family were in their home? Is J.D. Vance gonna call this a fact of life and Donald Trump gonna tell us we just need to move on, like they do when little innocent children have their lives stolen from them while they're in school? Because I would bet my left kidney that is not what's going to happen, and that the Republican response to this will not be clamoring for gun control. So here's what I have to say on the matter. Gun is indiscriminate, and you know what else it is? It's preventable. You know, like every other civilized country on the face of the planet has done. Because would it shock you to know that in the midst of all this with Charlie Kirk in Utah, where, by the way, it's perfectly legal for an 18-year-old to concealed carry a firearm on a public university campus. Can't see any issue with that. Anyway, would it shock you to know that in Colorado there was another shooting that left 3 students in critical condition? Like 2 weeks ago, there were children who had their lives stolen while they were praying. It's the f***ing guns!
Charlie Kirk didn't deserve this. He said a few deaths a year are worth it if it meant preserving our God-given right to bear arms. He actively fought against women's rights. He's openly Islamophobic, and he spreads anti-trans rhetoric. He supported the ethnic cleansing in Gaza, and he said the Civil Rights Act was a mistake. He called vaccine requirements a medical apartheid and said that empathy is a made-up word. How many children, teens, and adults have died by suicide because of his rhetoric? How many school shootings did he excuse this year? How many women died because they couldn't get access to safe abortions? How many hate crimes happened because of him? Spare me the empathy, because he didn't believe in it either. And let's be clear, the only people I have sympathy for are his kids, not his wife. She chose him. She stood by him, she supported him, and she co-signed everything he said and did. She laid in bed with that man knowing exactly who he was. The only people I will feel sorry for are his children. They didn't choose this, and now they have to grow up with the weight of his legacy. Someone said that his daughters didn't deserve to grow up without a dad. Well, they had a dad, and he openly said he would force his daughters to give birth if they I think they're actually better off without him.
To my great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. Charlie was also a man of deep, deep faith, and we take comfort in the knowledge that he is now at peace with God in heaven. Our prayers are with his wife, Erica, the 2 young, beloved children, and his entire family, who he loved more than anything in the world. We ask God to watch over them in this terrible hour of heartache and pain. This is a dark moment for America. Charlie Kirk traveled the nation, joyfully engaging with everyone interested in good faith debate. His mission was to bring young people into the political process, which he did better than anybody ever, to share his love of country and to spread the simple words of common sense. On campuses nationwide, he championed his ideas with courage, logic, humor, and grace. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations that fund it and support it, as well as those who go after our judges, law enforcement officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country. From the attack on my life in Butler, Pennsylvania last year, which killed a husband and father, to the attacks on ICE agents, to the vicious murder of a healthcare executive in the streets of New York, to the shooting of House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and 3 others, radical left political violence has hurt too many innocent people and taken too many lives. Tonight, I ask all Americans to commit themselves to the American values for which Charlie Kirk lived and died, the values of free speech, citizenship, the rule of law, and the patriotic devotion and love of God. Charlie was the best of America, and the monster who attacked him was attacking our whole country. An assassin tried to silence him with a bullet, but he failed, because together we will ensure that his voice, his message, and his legacy will live on for countless generations to come. Today, because of this heinous act, Charlie's voice has become bigger and grander than ever before, and it's not even close. May God bless his memory, may God watch over his family, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
All right, so we just got finished hearing all of that, and without diving into any type of conspiracy theories, I will say that I believe that there's more to the story here in regards to why Charlie Kirk was taken out in the fashion that he was. I just don't understand it. He was in a safe state, a red state, in the middle of Utah. Of course, it's a place where he would feel the most protected, you know, without any type of security around him. This wasn't Chicago, this wasn't Detroit, this wasn't DC, this wasn't the A, this was Utah. So I feel that he felt that he could walk around and just be himself in a place that really loves the talking points that he exudes on a day-to-day basis. Now, I will say this, I made a friend yesterday from Utah, and his name is Matt, and he sent me a couple of photos from the incident because he was there. And basically he heard people talking about the fact that the reason why Charlie Kirk was going around to all of these colleges and speaking to the youth is because he had plans to run for president in 2028. And also people were questioning, and somebody asked somebody within the group that they were talking in, is it true that Charlie Kirk had something on the Trump administration? Now, I'm not saying that this is factual or whatever, this is just all talk, but that is what Matt told me yesterday. Now, if it's true that Charlie did have aspirations to run for president of the United States of America, it does make sense that he was going around to colleges, talking to young students, trying to get them on the Charlie Kirk train, trying to change some of their thought process or the way that they think about politics in America so that he could have a strong backing once he put his name in the hat to run for the president of the United States. But hey, listen, I don't know, so I'm gonna draw the line here. I want you guys to feel free to drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about all of this. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and if you're new here, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I'll get with you guys later. Peace.
Thanks for watching.